Hey guys, what's up? Today we got a little treat especial for you. We're going to be replacing the front and rear sway bars on Sabine with some Powerflex Black Series bushings. We're partnering with Powerflex for this fall's Grassroots Motorsports Ultimate Track Car Challenge, and we just need to tighten up the rear and the front. The bushings have been on this car since the earth cooled, and so it's time to get some new bushings. This is going to be the first of many how-to videos. These bushings are super easy to put on, and so we just want to walk you through that today, and hope you get something out of it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. All right, so let's see what our friends at Powerflex sent us. So this is their Black Series. This is their track version. Super hard durometer. Two little bushings, some grease, and it's nice. I don't know if you can see that in there. There's little knurling in there, so that'll hold the grease when we grease this up here in a minute. So those are the fronts. And here's the rears, same thing. Oh, nice and hard. Those things are not going to flex at all. That is going to tighten up the suspension big time. So two bushings and a little grease. All right, so here's the bushing that we're going to replace on the front. There's two of them, one on the passenger side over here and one on the driver's side. Basically, there's two bolts. There's this bolt. You have to engage with this nut. And then there's that bolt, which just threads into a threaded piece on the frame itself. So we'll take those off. We'll take this old, nasty, worn out bushing out, and we'll put in the new Black Series Powerflex bushing. All right, so the first bolt we're going to remove is this guy right here. It's a 14 millimeter on this side, and of course 15 millimeter nut on the other side. And the next bolt we're going to take off is this one that's hidden back up on under that I showed you earlier. It's a 17 millimeter because, of course, E30. And now that we have these two bolts off, this should just rotate back, and I'll show you the little tab that's on this piece. This little tab right here fits into a slot in the frame. So you kind of put it in when we put it back together, and then it rotates up. You got to kind of clamp it together. It's a little bit of a finagling, but you can get that back in. So let's get this old worn out bushing out of here, and we'll go over to the healing bench and we'll show you the difference. All right, so we're over at the healing bench. Let's take a look at this old, crusty, worn out one. All oblonged out and all worn out, and all flexy and floppy. I wonder why the front fell a little bit sloppy compared to the new one. I mean, just absolutely night and day. All right, so let's go take the other one off, and then we'll install this new one, and then we'll be done with the front. All right, so now that we got the bushings off, now it's time to reinstall. So here's the bracket, cleaned it up. Just a little Scotch-Brite pad and some simple green. And this will go on like this. So if this is the front, this will go into a little slot. It'll rotate up. We'll put a bolt in here, and then the nut and bolt on this side. So as we get our bushing, this is our new Powerflex bushing, notch will go to the back. So we'll slide it in like that when we get it all on the sway bar. And then we'll be putting lube, which I'll show you here in a minute, on the inside, because you want the sway bar to move and not this, obviously, and you don't want this to bind. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put some lube that comes with the kit. You can see these little knurls I was describing earlier. We're going to lube this all up really well on the inside, and then we're going to split this, put this up on the sway bar itself, and then we'll put the bracket on, and then bolt it all up. All right, so now that we have our bushing in the housing, the trick here is getting this tab in that slot and then rotating it around. So let me get that done, then I'll show you what it looks like once it's rotated. All right, so the tricky bit is the tab on the other side of this wants to pop out because the bushing touches the frame. So you have to have a helper, hashtag Kyle. And what you do is you put a screwdriver through both holes with your spacer, and then you vice grip it all in place. Then you pull this out and you put your nut and bolt in. A real kind of tricky bit, but doable. So one other trick you can do if you're struggling to get the bracket into the frame is to take off the sway bar end link, this little bracket that goes to your lower A-arm. If you take this off, take it off both sides, and it frees up motion a little bit on your sway bar, gives you a little bit more room to maneuver. The trick is that when you go to put it all back together, probably one of these won't align. And so what you'll have to do is you'll have to put a jack stand or a jack underneath the other side and keep raising your other wheel until this aligns with the hole. And then it's easy. You just put it in, put the threaded end through, put the nut on, and then torque it to spec. All right, so now we're done. Actually, fairly simple. The trickiest bit is just getting the tab in the back of the frame. Having a helper really is helpful to get this in, because you'll just struggle with it, even with the vice grips and the screwdriver like we showed. But this is in. There is zero slop at all. Really nice install here. So looking forward to seeing how this tightens up the front end. And now we're going to go to the rear. Okay, so now we're at the rear of the car, and we're going to go ahead and replace this worn out sway bar bushing with our new Powerflex Black Series bushing, and we'll walk you through how to do that. Okay, so to get the bushing out, it's this little aluminum bracket. We're going to take this bolt out, and we're going to take that nut off, and this should come right off, and then we'll be able to slide the bushing off, which we'll show you here, and put the new one on. The other useful bolt to take off will be this end link bolt. That'll free up the sway bar to move freely and drop down. If not, then you're going to be fighting all of this. And so we're going to go ahead and take this off as well. So at least in our car, the way that this bracket is mounted, you've got a nut and bolt here, then this bolt mounts to that silver aluminum bracket. So we're going to take both of these out as well, and that whole sway bar should be able to drop. All right, so we're back at the healing bench. So we've got those two aluminum brackets off the car, pretty grungy looking. And so these old bushings should slip right out. And these are pretty well oblonged and pretty well trashed as well. So if you compare that to a brand new one, you can see it's not even close. So we're going to go ahead and then mount these back in, clean all this up, lube the inside, and then rebolt it all together, and it should be done. So now we've got the brackets all cleaned up, and we're going to get ready to go ahead and clean up the sway bar, and then we'll go ahead and lube up the bushings and go ahead and apply everything and install everything. All right, so there we go. I got everything installed. Went in pretty easy on the rear. Rears are a lot more straightforward. You're just unbolting 2 or 3 bolts, dropping this down. You can undo this as well, which will give you a little bit of ability to move the sway bar around. And just note where it's originally set. So just put a little Sharpie mark on it before you take it off, so you know where to put it back. And that's it. She's all done. So a couple hours of work in the garage today. Can't wait to get this out on the track.